So you're thinking about moving to Richmond, Virginia, but you're wondering, do I buy new construction or do I buy a resale? That's a great question. Like everything in life, there's pros and cons to both, and that's what we're going to talk about today in this video. So if you've watched some of my previous videos, you may have picked up that I'm married to one of Richmond's few female custom home builders. My wife's been building custom homes for 23 years. So you might say, well, Scott's going to be all in on new construction. He's in the tank. He's just a homer for new construction. That's the way it's going to go. Not the case. I call balls and strikes, and like everything in life, there's pros and cons to each. And we're going to definitely talk about that right now. But if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to share with you a great resource that could save you a lot of time and effort if you're relocating to the Richmond, Virginia area. And we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time in the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Richmond, Virginia and the surrounding counties of Hanover, Henrico, Chesterfield, New Kent, Goochland, and Powhatan, then subscribe below and tap the notifications bell so you can be the first to know about the market in Richmond, Virginia. My name is Scott Dearnley with Joiner Fine Properties. My team and I get calls from folks like you every single day looking to move to the Richmond, Virginia area, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, heck, even 9 months, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. All that information is linked below, and we'll help you make a smooth move to Richmond, Virginia. All right, so today we are going to talk about the pros and cons of new construction versus resale. So let's get right into it. All right, we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to start by talking about the pros of new construction. All right, so pro number one is customization. Oftentimes with new homes, you're going to get to customize what you want. If you buy it early in construction, or even if you buy it prior to groundbreaking, you can pick things like, well, hey, a lot of people don't like carpet these days. They want hardwood through the whole house. Those are the type of things you can say, hey, to your builder, I don't want carpet, price this thing with all hardwood. I like those new quartz countertops that people are seeing in the kitchen. So you'd be able to choose things like that. Outdoor living spaces are huge right now. So a lot of folks are adding outdoor features, patios with fire pits or fireplaces. There's just a lot of customization you can do when you buy new. Now, some of that will depend on the builder you're buying from. If you're going total custom, you know, that is where you're going to have the most opportunity for this. You know, if you're buying from one of the big box builders, there may be a little less customization available, but at the very least, if you buy early in construction or before the house is started, you'll get to go to their design center. You'll get to make selections, and you know, they will have, say, structural options that you can pick to customize your house, but they'll be, you know, they'll be sort of set. They'll be a little more limited than with a full custom builder. But again, there will be opportunities to customize. Now, if you buy new, but you're buying toward the end of construction, there may be less customization. Just want to let you know that. You know, you can't always customize. If you're buying, let's say the house is at drywall, the builder may have already picked out and ordered all the finishes at that point in time. So for maximum customization with a new home, you really should try to buy early in the process. So number two for pros of buying new construction, you're going to get a house with all the modern features. You're going to get things like tankless hot water heaters. That's great technology where we're not holding 50, 75 gallons of hot water in a tank and keeping that hot all day while you're at work or at night while you're asleep. You're going to get things like digital programmable Wi-Fi thermostats, so you can put a sweet little app on your phone and lay in bed at night and adjust the temperature from your bed, or you can you know, do it from work. You're going to get more open, modern, flowing floor plans. You know, it's not, new homes these days do not have, you know, have a lot more openness to them, like not as many just predefined rooms. So the kitchen is walled off from the family room, and that's walled off from a, you know, that's not the way houses are. So these days people prefer, generally, not everybody's the same, but people tend to prefer these open, modern, flowing floor plans, which is what you're going to see these days in new construction. So number three on my list of pros is going to be lower maintenance and lower energy costs. So on lower maintenance, you're buying brand new. Everything in this house is, just been built. You have a builder warranty. Every builder warranty out there is pretty much going to have a 1-year bumper-to-bumper warranty where everything in the house is covered. Now, things like appliances, and you're going to get the manufacturer's warranty, but the builders usually give a very good comprehensive 1-year warranty, and you really shouldn't expect a lot to go wrong in that first year because everything's brand new. You've probably got a 30-year roof on the house. Your HVAC, while you should maintain it every year, that's going to be good for hopefully 10, 15, possibly 20 years. Things like that. And then your builder warranty will include structural items, usually up to at least 5 years. So you have that lower maintenance with a new home, and then you're going to get energy efficiency in that new home. You have things like double pane windows. If you buy a house from 1900 or 40s, 50s, 60s, you probably have a single pane window unless they've been replaced. You might have an old oil burning furnace. Those things are not the most efficient versus these new HVAC systems where we have 95% efficient natural gas forced hot air systems, or even electric heat pumps are very efficient these days. So again, you're going to get that lower energy cost. Houses today also tend to be way better insulated than they were, if they were built a while back. So lower maintenance and lower energy costs are going to be my third pro for going new. All right, number 4 pro, this is my fourth and last one on my list, are financial incentives. Builders right now will oftentimes have a fantastic incentive if you use their lender and their closing agent. Just within the last week, I sold a new home. It was $330,000, and the builder had a $10,600 incentive to use their lender and closing agent. That is a massive amount, $10,600 on a $330,000 purchase. That's just hard. My purchaser was already pre-qualified with another lender, but that made it so compelling they had to go with the builder's lender. And they also had great rates. It's not like they jacked up the rate to give them that incentive. So it was a really good deal to go with the builder's lender on that. And oftentimes other builders will do this. If it's not a closing cost incentive, they will give you a certain amount of dollars. I've seen $10,000, I've seen all the way up $30,000 to go to a builder's design center and use that money toward picking upgrades in your homes. So you're going to see this a lot these days, that builders will have a financial incentive that's usually tied in with a lender and closing agent. But I'm telling you, there's some great incentives out there if you just look for them. All right, we're going to flip over now and talk about the pros of buying a resale. All right, pro number 1. Typically, you're going to get a lower price on a resale than new construction. It's just the way things are these days. New construction with inflation is costing a lot of money. So if you're a lot of people get hung up on dollar per foot, and if you're worried about dollar per foot, you're probably going to get a better dollar per foot price on a resale versus new construction. That's just the way the math is working right now. Typically, you're going to get a little bit better, lower price on a resale versus new construction, square foot to square foot. So second, pro number 2 about buying a resale is most likely you're going to be buying in an established neighborhood. You're going to have mature trees, you're going to have walkways. The infrastructure around your neighborhood is already there. You're going to know where the gas station you're going to want to go to is. You're going to know where the grocery store is and local restaurants. So you're not waiting for these things to come to you. Often in new construction, you're out there, so to speak, and this neighborhood is new, and some of these things aren't there yet around you. But when you buy in an established neighborhood with a resale, all these things you're not waiting for, build it and they will come. That's already there. So that is pro number 2, is you tend to get a more established neighborhood and the things around that neighborhood. All right, number 3. I'm going to call this is kind of interesting, unique timelessness. There's something about, if you're into older houses, like you like a row house in the fan area, you like that sort of look of that row house feel, that there were tons of them built in the 1900s. If you like the Victorians that you see a lot of in Bon Air, there are some styles of homes that you're just not going to see, there's no one's building them new these days, really. So if you like that charm of the older home in that kind of different feel, you're going to have to go with an older home. I mean, there are some absolutely classic old Richmond Georgian style homes, big brick, beautiful homes, like you'll see some in Windsor Farms, or like the English Tudors. If you like that look, you're going to have a lot. You probably got to go resale on that, because that's just not something that builders, you're not going to see. So if you like that uniqueness, that timelessness of these older, more classic homes, that might be a reason to buy, a resale. So number 4 on our pros of buying a resale is you are tending to have a little more flexible negotiation right now with resales. Builders are not doing a lot of negotiating. There is definitely a housing shortage in this market, and builders are doing their best to fill that gap, and there's not a lot of negotiation on new homes. Now, you might have that financial incentive that I talked about as a pro of building a new home, but beyond that incentive, you're not going to go in and really be negotiating much of anything off of the price. In resale, it's becoming, as the market has slowed a little bit with these higher interest rates, we are seeing more houses come down in price and more negotiation off of price that we're not seeing in new construction. Now, that's not a guarantee on every home that you're going to go in and be able to get money off, but more and more and more, we're seeing some flexibility out of the sellers on the resale side. So that is a positive, if you're buying a resale. All right, we talked about the pros. Now we're going to talk about the cons. Unfortunately, in life, not everything is peaches and cream. There's going to be a flip side to just about everything. So we're going to start with new construction. Let's go with con number 1 on new construction. Typically, you're going to have a higher purchasing cost on new construction. Inflation, I'm telling you, is real, especially in the new construction world. The cost of just about everything to build a new house has gone up. I've seen this through being married to a custom home builder. From shingles to concrete to gravel, you name it, it has gone up, and up fairly dramatically in the last couple of years. A lot of that started with COVID, and that drove prices up, and sadly with prices, they seem to come up and never really come back down again. Also, the cost of land right now for a builder, first thing you have to do if you're building new construction is have a place to build it. And I'm telling you, the cost of buying property and then developing that property right now is through the roof. And then a lot of times with these lots, you'll have what are called proffers, which essentially is a tax from the county that's added on to the cost of the lot. And that's from the city or the county, trying to say, hey, we're bringing in new homes and you're going to have to pay for schools and infrastructure, like, more roads and services, things like that. So, in addition to just the materials of the house going up, lot prices are going up, and they're becoming increasingly harder to find for builders. So higher purchasing cost is typically going to be con number 1 for new construction. Number 2 will be, a lot of times you're going to get a less established community. Building in Richmond, all cities sort of start from the center and then they grow outward. Richmond has been growing outward for a while, so we're starting to see more of these communities farther on the outskirts of town. That's where these large plots of land that these big builders want to build in. A little builder like my wife's company, we'll buy something that's closer in, that's 5-10 lots and build that. But these bigger builders, that's too small for them. These national builders, these big box builders, they need big pieces of land where they've got hundreds, of lots coming. And you're going to tend to find that more on the outskirts of town right now. And then so sometimes you don't always have things established around that. Now, will it happen eventually? Yes, but you might have to wait 5-10 years for a lot of that stuff to come out to you. For instance, right now, where the Short Pump Town Center is in Short Pump, and all that area around Short Pump right now that's super developed, 20 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, that was farmland. When things started developing out there, I was thinking in my head, why in God's name is somebody moving this far out of town to this area where it's essentially cows? Now, if you go and drive down Broad Street next to Short Pump, it is amazing. It filled in, and now everything you'd ever want is in that area, but it took a little bit of time to get there. So oftentimes when you're buying that new, you might just have to wait a little bit for things to get to you. It will come eventually, but in those established neighborhoods, that stuff is typically already there from day one. So con number 3 for new construction is sometimes you will experience construction delays. If you've ever built a new house before, you'll know that closing date on your contract is really not set in stone. It's a suggestion, and there are some things that are just beyond a builder's control. And I can tell you right now, my wife's company, we have one that's going to be delayed a couple weeks because the weather has not cooperated. She's been trying to get the yard done, the irrigation system in, then the final grading done, then the landscaping and the sod, things that are outside. And it has literally rained 2 days a week here in Richmond, where it even snowed last week, and you just can't work outside in those conditions. So that is going to delay the closing. So you have to have a little bit of flexibility with a new home in your building on your closing date, because there are construction delays. So that is a possible con. They're not always delayed. My wife will deliver 90% of them on time, but if you're one of those 10% and things like the weather get you, there's just not, or supply chain issues, there's just not much you can do about it. So you have to factor that in. All right, so let's move on to our final category, and this is going to be cons of buying a resale. All right, so con number 1 is typically you're going to have higher maintenance costs and higher energy costs. So let's say you buy a home. There's tons of homes in the Richmond area that are built in sometime in the 1990s. They have the original roof and the original HVAC. Most of them won't have the original AC at this point, but if you have the original roof, it's at the end of that 30-year period. It's not leaking yet, but I guarantee you that is something you need to be factoring into your budget. And depending on the size of your house, your roof could run you, I'd say $7,500 to $15,000 plus, depending on the house, that you need to think about. Same with that HVAC. Let's just say your system is 15, 20 years old. That thing is still blowing cold as ice right now, but statistically that thing is on its last leg. Your home inspector can't say, hey, it's a defect just because it's old. That thing is still blowing cold. But you need to factor that in, because trust me, based on lives of HVAC, if you buy that older home, that is going to go and be a fairly big ticket item for you in the future. So again, you have to go around the house and look at that. If you've got the old, so we're going to talk about energy efficiency too. These older homes you might buy. There are so many beautiful older Richmond homes built in the 50s, 60s. Those probably have the original single pane windows. Those are not energy efficient. You may well want to do replacement windows, because your energy costs in these older houses are going to tend to be higher. Those houses just weren't insulated like a new house. They didn't have energy efficient features, like the windows. They didn't have, you're not going to see a tankless hot water heater. Again, you might see an old oil furnace in these older homes. While they're charming and they're beautiful and they're a wonderful part of Richmond, these older homes are just not going to be as energy efficient, so you're going to have higher costs. So with a resale, oftentimes you're going to have higher maintenance costs and higher energy costs. That would be con number 1. So number 2 on our cons for a resale is a lot of these homes that you're going to see are just going to have more dated designs. Homes built in the 90s, in the 80s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there's tons of these all around the Richmond area, and they're just going to not have that modern look. You're going to see a lot of dark stained cherry cabinets and oak cabinets, whereas today the lighter whites and painted colors are more the thing. A design, like there's a lot of the colonial, where each room is its room. You go into the kitchen and it's separated off from the family room, and it's separated off from the dining room. Right now these are more open flowing spaces. Then these old colonial style homes, you get to the top of the stairs and there's a 3 or 3.5 foot hallway that goes straight down the hallway, and then there's a bedroom on either side as you go down. Today, a lot of these plans, when you get to the top of the stairs, you have these open lofts. There's more of that feeling of space. Another modern design feature is things, two-story areas, two-story foyers, two-story family rooms that give you that more open, airy feeling that you're just not going to get in some of these older homes. Gosh, I can't tell you how much in these older Richmond homes you see that old wood paneling on the wall and stained trim. Those type of things, you may love it and that might be your thing, but for folks that want that more modern feel, that's something you're going to have to, contend with. So again, sort of dated designs are another con that you're going to see. Not every resale, but a lot of them that you may run across. So our last con, number 3, is limited customization. Really, when you buy a resale, what you see is what you get. You're buying that house as is. So if you don't like certain features, yeah, there's a chance you can blow out that wall between the kitchen and the family room and open that space up, but it's not going to be done by the time you buy the house, and that is an undertaking you're going to have to do on your own. And if you're not someone that likes to do those type of projects, that might not be the house for you. As we discussed before, one of the big pros of new construction is being able to customize that house. So, I think a lot of folks go into resales and think, oh my gosh, I love this house, but I'd have to do this, I'd have to do that, I'd have to blow out this wall, I'd have to put in a new kitchen, I'd have to add that outdoor living space. And by the time they add up in their head all the things they need to do to that home, it just makes more sense to buy new. So again, limited customization is going to be one of the cons of buying a resale home. Thanks for tuning in and watching this video on the pros and cons of buying new versus buying a resale. Hopefully you think I shot it to you straight, even though I'm married to a custom home builder. I do realize that new homes are not always the way to go. There's instances where they're just not going to work for you, and but there are plenty of times where they will. So again, my name is Scott Dearnley with Joiner Fine Properties, and I've helped countless folks move to Richmond, Virginia in my 20+ years of real estate, and I'd love to help you as well. I've created a very helpful relocation guide that'll save you time and research, hours and hours of that. And you can download it right below. There's a link below in the description. It's a must download, and I hope you take advantage of it. So remember, if you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, heck, even 9 months, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. All that again is below. And until next time, I hope to show you around town. Take care.